bringing ourselves back to life. So in this video, what I'm going to try and do is explain, for one, how we almost get our life force sucked out of ourselves, and then so that's one, how we get our life force sucked away from ourselves. And two, how do we bring it back? So I'd like to start off by saying that unfortunately our reality is pretty messed up, and a lot of unfortunate things happen to us, and we don't deal with it the way we need to move forward and ultimately become stronger with that existence, learning, lesson, experience. So to touch bases on this really quickly, a lot of us, we don't handle situations the way we ultimately, like, if something pretty messed up happens to us, maybe when we're kids, maybe when we're adults, and we can't accept that experience for what it is, and we ultimately hold on to blame. Blame is like, it's not, the truth is, no matter, the bottom line truth is that everything does happen for a reason. And there's two ways we can go about it. One way is that we try and justify why without accepting for what it is. Like, we just justify why, like, without, it's like, it's a two-part system. Is we can justify why something's happened, but until we accept it for what it is, we will never truly heal ourselves. And that's the messed up part of our reality, is a lot of the time we become infected and then we infect other people. And to truly heal ourselves, it's purely a matter of accepting everything for what it is, accepting our existence, accepting our life, not blaming anyone, and purely just being the sum, being the mathematical equation of now. Like, this is healing. This is accepting the sum, the equation of who we are in this moment is healing. Acceptance is healing. And unfortunately, we choose not to accept. And it's not even that we choose. It's almost like our mind chooses. Because ultimately our heart space wants to be able to cleanse itself naturally. Our heart frequency, our heart chakra, it's designed to heal. It's designed to resonate with abundance, love, purity, generosity. So it's the heart naturally wants to heal. The heart naturally wants to accept. The heart naturally wants to cleanse. However, the mind, and fascinating enough, is that this is where our torture, the torture that we experience, it doesn't come from the heart. It comes from our minds. We create the torture, we create the pain, we create the suffering, we create the negativity. It's all in our heads, and we choose not to accept. We choose to cast blame. We choose to remain in this sorrow It's literally, it's in our heads. It's ultimately like a parasite. It's sickness, and it remains in our heads, and we'll continue to live with this kind of parasitic frequency if we can't choose to accept everything for what is now. And it's very simple, because when we accept everything for what is now, and we can truly come back into this moment, and although it may not be pretty, although it may be like, it can be pretty messed up, at least we're no longer looking outside of ourselves to cast blame or to cast judgment. And when we do this, and we can truly take ownership for ourselves in this moment, without casting blame, without pointing fingers, without thinking of it's everyone's fault, because the truth is that it's unfortunate, like, that we've been affected or manipulated or hurt. In a perfect world, ideally this wouldn't happen, and we'd just be an abundance of happiness and love, and just, we're just this feeling of divine essence, love, happiness, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. We're just everything in a perfect world. Unfortunately, this reality, it's not designed like that. This reality it promotes suffering. It promotes pain. It promotes hurt. Our society is designed for us to ultimately suffer. Now, the truth is that within suffering has everything we need to be able to strengthen and condition ourselves to become the inner alchemist, to become the light. We can't, there's a great saying is that, how can you find light if there is no darkness? And it's not to say that if there was only light, we wouldn't need to question anything else. However, the reality which we're living in, it's promoting darkness, it's promoting suffering, it's promoting pain, hurt, negativity. And as long as we're casting judgment or blaming other people, we're stuck within that fabric of frequency will just continue to manifest other experiences that are evolving around this kind of frequency. So this is one part of our life experience when we get tangled in frequency, which is like a never-ending cycle of pain and more pain. And it's not to say that anyway. So this is one kind of side to our lives. Now, the other side is ultimately just the system in general. It's almost like there's a certain amount of unpredictability in our life, which we can be affected from. But at the same side, there is a certain amount of predictability that we often need to learn and experience. We live our lives and we experience and we learn from our experiences. And this is kind of, you can take all ownership, you can not blame anyone. You can be ultimately like an alchemist. You could be, always try and find the positives in life and ultimately, try and live a life of abundance. There's always going to be a certain amount of the system that we're living in, it's almost designed for us to, our society, our structure, it's definitely designed to implement challenges, and we can't blame ourselves for doing our best. And this is kind of the key, which we'll wrap into the final part, is that we can't, as long as we're doing our best in life, we can't hold ourselves accountable if things don't end up going to plan. Because the truth is that we can only do our best in life, and that's the bottom line. That's the magic, is that as long as we do our best, we can't do anything more. And this is crucial because a lot of us, we get to a point where we question our ability, and we question that we're simply not good enough. And there is something within this that, because it's almost like we move through the different layers of existence. We may be stuck in the first layer that I expressed before within judgment, and then we move forward, we start improving ourselves, that we start looking within ourselves, we start getting better at taking ownership of our lives, and then we almost get stuck in this next layer, which is we believe that we're not good enough. We believe ultimately that, based on society and how our society is structured, there's a lot of pressure on us to perform, and we get stuck in this kind of, we question our ability, and we get stuck in this kind of phase of seeing the bigger picture. The last layer, the third layer, which I'd like to express, is the point of attention that we must focus on to be able to bring our life force back. The second layer, a lot of us, we lose ourselves in this layer, and then we have the potential to get wrapped back in the first layer of casting judgment. And the third layer is literally inner acceptance. It's basically what we did in the first part to heal ourselves. We started looking within ourselves. We started to accept. We started to understand that in order to move forward out of these kind of states of this consciousness of darkness, we needed to accept. And then the society, it hits us hard because we get lost in society norms and success, and then we almost can get wrapped back up into. Anyway, the third part that I want to talk about is literally, at least in my opinion, what will set us free back to our true self, back to our innocence, back to our divine connection to infinity and quantum love, quantum consciousness, whatever you want to call this kind of, you might refer it to God. It's literally being able to understand that no matter what we do in this life, no matter how we interpret this reality, the truth is that no matter what we achieve, no matter what we do, all that really matters is being able to accept who we are in this moment. We get so lost looking outside of ourselves, manifesting this kind of idea of who this best version of ourselves needs to be, that we're just constantly running in this lifetime, hundreds of different directions, we're shooting our frame of mind this way. We think we need to do this to be able to experience this kind of satisfaction of who we need to become to be successful, to be happy, to be, to be who we need to be. And a lot of the time that it's non-stop, and a lot of us may not even, get a chance to stop until we literally are in our deathbed, and then we finally get it. And all that we need to get is that in this present moment, we have everything we need. And although a lot of the time it doesn't seem like we do, but the truth is the key is actually in ourselves. And that is pretty much it. And the reason why the key is in ourselves is because this is how our reality works. This is how we become the slave to the society, is because society teaches us that success is outside of ourselves. Success is if you want success, you need to go out and you need to get it. And ultimately what our society is doing is that it's creating this kind of never-ending cycle for us to basically believe in society that, and it's not to say that this is a negative thing, because otherwise our society will collapse if we all just rebel and but it is to say that we need to find balance and truth within ourselves, because there's one thing to keep this society running and being a good Samaritan within our society, but there's another thing to say that if we're losing ourselves purely because we're being designed to basically look outside of ourselves for success, which is definitely being promoted within our society. If we're constantly looking outside of ourselves and we can never find true contentment within ourselves, this is where we need to draw the line and be like, what's going on here? Why is there so much programming? This is all that I'm getting at, is that it doesn't matter how we do it, how we connect to it, but the key is within ourselves. The frequency of abundance is within ourselves. And all we have to do is find that within ourselves. We all have it. We can do meditations, yoga, do anything that we love to do, walking, eating good food, going into nature, meditating, whatever, any sport, reading, doesn't matter what we do. But the truth is how we get to that place within this now moment, within ourselves, and find our connection to that and hold that with us and feel it and grow with it. That's when we start to question, hang on a second. It's not all about just giving to this reality, to this reality. There's more within ourselves. And when we start building this and growing with this and feeling this, we start to bring this beauty from within ourselves out into this reality. We don't need to create anything. It just naturally flows of abundance into this life, into this frequency, into this reality. And that is ultimately us opening the key of abundance to this lifetime. And when we do that, it's everything just flows. It's almost like we silence our minds and we open our hearts. And that is ultimately, it's like the 3-layer system. I kind of tried to explain it, because the first layer is almost like victim mentality. That's not going to be good to anyone. It's just literally going to keep promoting suffering. The second layer is almost like the structure of society and the pressure that our society puts on most of us, that we ultimately just get lost in this kind of this reality, and we never really get our head above the surface. And the surface is literally just coming back into our moment, ourselves, our true self, our heart space, our love, and finding connection to this space, and cherishing and just growing within it, cherishing it, or believing in it, and growing this space until it eventually opens up and blossoms and creates this portal from within ourselves into this reality. And then we're just unstoppable then, because the mind gets silenced. When we start to flow, there is no mind, there is only one. And this is what our ultimately, this is the healing. This is the, for ourselves and for other people in our frequency, for our earth, for our universe. When we start to open ourselves up, we connect to bigger, greater, beautiful things, which just creates a ripple effect.